Ready?
Sure.
So it's 5:30 today, April the 7th, 2025, and I'd like to at this point call to order the bar meeting of today. Present are Rob McQuilkin, Tom Birmingham, and myself, Stephanie Rinzer. Christopher Gow will be here a little bit later. And thank you, Desiree, for taking the minutes, and thank you, John. Would you like to come up and present your case? The first applicant today is Mr. Rothberg of 202 Continental Road. So I can say here that we've had some fantastic letters of support, which we're not allowed to read out, but they're going on the record. So
Thank you.
that's great.
I think someone pulling in, is that Mr. Gallo?
He'll come in when.
So my name is Mark Rothberg and I live at 202 Continental Road. I purchased my home in February 2021. Love the home, love Tuxedo Park. The interior is mostly all, the house was built in 1888. All the original moldings are retained inside the house. Did extensive landscaping, rediscovered the steps that went down from the front entrance to the club under years of brush. What I'm before you tonight is requesting to restore the porch, the covered porch, original windows. It was originally an enclosed porch. I've attached a photograph of
I'd love to see that.
yeah, it's if I look at and I have extra copies for everyone, so I could.
Thank you.
So if I'll just go through the
Sure,
application,
yes.
but before I do, I just wanted to say I wanted to enclose the porch the way it originally was, and the issue that I had, I've been looking for 2 years now for contractors, and everyone just wanted to take the measurements and put windows up. But if you look at the photographs, which I'll show you, there is molding, the original moldings from 1888. It's a Bruce Price house that are on the exterior surrounding the porch. Anyone who wanted to put in windows would just do it on the exterior. That's why they needed to be custom. I've went far, for 2 years searching local contractors. I even had the contractor come from my house in Southampton, and I ended up just wasting the day. He went to Bear Mountain with his son for the day, but
Okay.
he wasn't interested. Finally, a client asked one of their builders to please go up to Tuxedo Park and do whatever Mark needs to enclose the porch. So I left for 4 years the broken window panes and the original door to show.
So this is currently open, is it? Then there's no glass in this.
No.
Okay.
So let's go to the first.
And you want to just close that off with glass?
Right. So if you're looking at the first photograph, maybe the second photograph, what I left, that's the original side door to the enclosed porch. And that's the window. Now you see the moldings on each side, and the moldings go for all the pillars throughout the house. Those moldings are original moldings, and I wanted to retain it. Everyone's like, why don't you get rid of that door and the window? And I'm like, no, because that shows that the windows were put in on the interior of the porch. So and then if you go to the next the next photograph shows.
Did this at one point have glass that was broken?
That is glass,
Oh,
yes.
I see.
This window,
was glass?
right, these windows, some of them are there, some of them are broken.
Okay.
These were all glass all the way around. And there's a remnant to show how the window and doors were on the interior of the molding pillars, not on the
I
exterior.
see.
And if you look at the next photograph, I think you could see, obviously, a sliding glass door was put in the 70s. But if you look at the different openings, you'll see that there's extensive moldings on each of those pillars. So that's why I wanted to keep. And if you go to the third picture, there's a photograph of the house. This is as old as I can get that from the Historic Society. you'll see that there were 3 window panes rows in each of the missing portions of the porch. And you can still see the original pillars and molding was on the outside. So, so when I figured I'd be applying to do that, and I finally found a contractor who was willing to do it and found a custom window maker who's actually making the windows with the original ropes and the weights on each side. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I went to the factory and with individual panes as opposed to just having wood
Right.
fake panes. And then I figured while I'm doing that, if you go to the first photograph, that's just the basic. There are 4 windows in the kitchen on the first floor that which were aluminum coming out.
Yeah.
Also on the top floor, obviously not touching the carved wood, but the bottom part are decrepit aluminum windows. So if I'm and also the sliding glass doors which don't even open. If I'm doing that, I might as well go full throttle and replace everything with original wood windows with individual panes. So it's not really a renovation, it's more of a restoration project. And also I should just mention, as far as I didn't know whether I wanted to enclose the porch or not, but the entire lower south side of my house is exposed. And during the winter, my heating system just doesn't stop running the propane because you can't see it, but there are French doors on the interior. It's a line of French doors, and then there weren't supposed to be exterior French doors.
Oh, wow.
They're interior. So I have stripping and tape on the inside, but I would like to restore also, if you notice, there's a bedroom on top, 2 bedrooms on top. Most people that have open porches, they're extensions from the house. You don't have the house
Right.
built. It's the equivalent of
Yeah.
it being 4 degrees in your home in the living room
Yeah.
with snow and you're upstairs
We
sleeping.
have that.
Yeah.
That terrible arrangement in one of the rooms.
Right. So, and of course, one of them is my room. So I figured if I'm doing the porch, I might as well do the rest of the home. Those are the only sections that were replaced. I'm glad nobody did a replacement of the porch, because anyone would have just ripped out those pillars. Nobody
Right.
would have searched for 2 years and found someone who wanted to do it. So I'm sort of grateful I kept the original, so I can show each contractor that they
Yeah.
need to make custom windows on the interiors of those pillars. So that's my proposal.
So, and that's a cedar cladding throughout the
Uh,
house everywhere?
yeah, it's all cedar. It's painted green.
Mhm.
If the original exterior, it looks like it's just regular cedar, but that's for a time period. I did repairs to the exterior in certain portions, but I wasn't going to re-cedar the entire house
No.
right now. So I asked a woman named Ann who lives on the curb. I forget her last name. She's in North Carolina during the winter. Her husband grew up in that house diagonally across from me on the curb, and I asked him what color was the house originally. Of course, he doesn't remember. He just remembers it's been green for as long as he can remember.
Okay.
But I'm not touching that. And the sections that I did replace of the cedar, I replaced and painted it exactly the same. So I'm really trying to just the bones of the house put back to where it was.
Yeah, well, your work on it has been great so far, so no doubts. I think this house at one point was used like the main clubhouse, right?
I know it was one of the first 5 that
Yeah.
Rice built and obviously it was directly across. That's why the staircase was originally
I think
towards the
before
club.
main club, either before the main clubhouse was built or when the main clubhouse had a fire or something. This was rather useful while this was actually used by the club. So it's got historical value to it. and-
Governor Dewey lived there? I forget. Dewey, okay. Yeah. He lived there too.
Probably Mike DeLeo.
That's right. Call him the wrong name.
That's all right.
So that's my proposal, and
So just to confirm, so you want to put these very small divided lights back, right?
which lights?
These,
The-
well, no, just the tiniest pieces of glass, right?
They're not, I asked the measurements, they're in each of the large portions, which are the large port, there are going to be three windows.
Mhm.
And they're not little. I think they're measurements of the window I attached. Those are the wood windows and they're going to be
Right, they're gonna
large.
be on this-
Right, so they're not going to be tiny. They're going,
I just meant these ones.
oh, the little ones. No, they're gonna look three of those. They're not gonna be, I think this is top of construction, I think. They're gonna be, in other words, the windows in the house are all big, so
Okay,
the window panes, so they're going to be, I asked him to send me a drawing and those are the drawings. It's gonna be similar to this, but three large ones.
right.
Like 7 or 8 inches or, yeah.
And then I did a photograph. So the one with the door is gonna have two of the large windows in that space. And then the ones that are just open, they're gonna be three. And if you can see from the picture, there are three
Yeah.
windows
Oh,
in
yeah,
each of those
yeah, yeah.
spaces.
Yeah, there's a heavier white line in between them, I guess.
Right.
But
And those are
they're gonna be as long or they're gonna just?
No, I'm not, I want them, they're going up to the
Okay.
top.
Right.
No, I'm not making little windows with cedar shingles. No, I'm keeping the original frame. That's why they're custom. They're
Mhm.
going from the base to the top. And then obviously the sliding glass doors, which I know was there since 1977 at least. The same manufacturer is going to be doing French doors that open inside with the individual panes and the wood
Mhm.
for that exact space.
Okay,
So
that's great.
yeah, I don't want to close it, make it small with exterior. I want the large grand windows that, the moldings will surround.
And in these spaces, you're not extending the size of the windows or anything like that?
No, they're going right, let's see, I'm upside down. Okay. For the one here, and I think two here. And then up here, I believe it's two little ones or one big one. But it's depending on the size, but they're all being made. 6 to 8 weeks, I was
Is there a
told.
way to get the muntins on the French doors so that equal to the muntins on the windows? These are much bigger patches of window than this.
Mhm.
Well, if you look, in other words, to have two
I just
vertical muntins.
the window, like you see the windows, how they're big here.
Mm.
And if you look at the windows, I don't have photographs of the French doors on the inside,
Mhm.
but they're large pieces of glass. They're not small little.
Larger than the muntins on the windows. So there was that sort of, you're saying that there was originally a difference between the size of the lights,
What do you mean?
So muntins are the wooden things that are dividing
Mhm.
the windows.
Okay, yeah.
So
The windows are called lights.
Oh,
They're
okay,
called
sorry.
divided
So-
lights,
okay.
So
sorry.
the muntins are the wooden things. that-
Okay, the wood that goes, okay.
So what you're saying then is that the existing,
Windows in the house are very large, like for example, the dining
so in
room.
other words, there are fewer muntins for larger
Like
lights on the
large pieces
doors.
of glass
And that-
and, right.
Right, so there's already a disparity.
Yeah, so I was looking like right here. Let's see if there's a photograph. Cut out. But right here, you could see their the dining room windows. It's the same configuration, and the windows, it's a very large windows. The glass, the light is very large. They're not small, modern
Okay.
ones. They're pretty big.
Just that I can imagine it being very pretty, having
Mhm.
that entire plane of windows.
Glass being the same.
Yeah.
But if it's different on the inside.
Absolutely, that's to me
Yeah.
very valid.
Yeah, in other words, the windows on the inside, if you could see in the original photograph, this window, you see how big it is. And you could see how the glass or the light, they're very large pieces. There's nothing small in any of the original windows on.
So the doors behind this have got larger pieces of
Yes.
glass in them.
They're all French doors and they're the original ones and they're very large.
Oh, that's,
I
Yeah,
think
that's good enough for-
that's very
yeah,
important.
Yeah.
Sure.
Also in the front of the house, I don't know, when you drive by, you'll see, it's not a bay, but they're, sort of rounded windows. I don't have any photographs of the front, but there are also very large pieces of glass. So that's what, um, yeah, it's
Makes
just,
sense to
it's
me.
just the ugly side of the house. But, that side is very visible. People walk their dogs and take walks and stuff and everyone's, looking.
I loved looking at these windows. They're so adorable.
yep, they don't open, but that's okay. So I figured if I'm doing this already and someone's coming up to the park, I might as well do that section as well.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Sure,
No.
you were already happy.
Yeah, no, I'm satisfied. Like I said, I know Mark's work on the house and
Yeah.
I can see what he's doing here. And
Exactly.
I know the house well, being a neighbor, so.
And they're doing
No
me a
questions at all.
huge favor, and I was they've been up here a million times measuring and I'm very grateful that they agreed. They sort of had their arm twisted to come up here and help me and
That's nice.
for free. But I'm grateful that I finally found someone to do it right because.
Where are they based, by the way, in the city or?
No, they're based in, I think, Florham Park is the contractor, but they do like 90% for my developer clients. So
Oh, I
they're
see.
basically
I see.
taking off jobs
Right, got
to help Mark fix his house in Tuxedo Park. So,
Lucky find.
well,
Do you have any
Yeah.
other?
No, this is all great.
and I'm just glad I saved that
No,
stuff
no problem.
because everyone's like, get rid of it. But this way I was able to see how they hung it. Yeah.
So, if there are no more comments or questions, I'd like to make a motion to approve the plans as presented today by yourself.
Thank you.
And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All in favor. Thank you so much. So John, we're gonna present this as today's submission.
Yeah.
And I want to thank John for helping me. I contacted him a year ago after I was a year of being successful and he was very helpful. So thank you.
You are.
Thanks
Have a
so
good
much.
night, everyone.
Fantastic.
Mark,
work
good luck
you're doing.
with it.
Thank you. So the next application today is for the Rivera property. I want to 6 Summit Road.
Okay, so I know we're here because of the trees, but I'd like to sort of go through the renovations that we're proposing.
Sure.
Starting with the structural changes. So the existing driveway is to remain, we're just making minor modifications. The end of the island here sort of is broken down, there's rocks, so we're just gonna redo the curb and pull it back a little bit so that it's easier to maneuver.
Mm.
Same on the southern end of the island, we're gonna cut it back by 8 feet. And in order to accommodate a little bit more parking and regrade a little bit, we're gonna redo the landing, keeping it the same basic shape, except I'm gonna keep the sides a little bit straighter so that they can put some pots there. And then add 2 steps. I'm gonna cut that down a little bit and then extend the parking, level this area out. There's an existing wall, we'll take part of it down and then reassemble it in a straight line. So again, we can get 3 cars parked in that area. And then we'll regrade with some new bluestone steps. Again, we're gonna match the stone on the wall and the cap. So that'll stay the same. With the service little driveway that Carl and Baba use for parking. Right now, it comes in at an angle that's very difficult to maneuver. They have to back out all the way. So and it's very flat in this area. There's an existing wall that keeps the upper drive, which is at a higher elevation. So we're just gonna enlarge this little corner so that they can get 3 cars in now and be able to do more of a K-turn to get
I
out.
mean, it's basically all pre-existing.
Yeah.
Pretty much all there.
There's an existing walkway that goes from that service drive towards the front, and has a big curb. It's very steep. It's bluestone. It's the northern side of the house. It's very slippery. So we want to regrade it and do slab steps with crushed stone between it so that it's a much more gradual, easy.
What material you'll be using on the driveway and the parking areas?
I would like to use, because we have this wonderful brick detailing in the house. There's a paver that looks exactly like that brick that we would like to do in a herringbone pattern, probably with a bigger running bond section on the edges, because it is a, relatively big.
It will be the red
Driveway.
area. This is not the
Yeah.
right color variation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's the
It's
paper.
almost the exact same size as the brick on the house.
Okay, and you said a herringbone running through, okay.
Yeah. In the back, right now, there's an existing terrace off their kitchen that's very narrow. It's over here. And so they have a large family, they want to entertain, they have a large dining table, so we're going to expand that patio. And right now, there's an existing 2-foot wide walkway that sort of goes uphill because there's a grade difference of about 18 inches from the pool area to the terrace along the house. And there's 2 separate little pads. There's one at the end of the pool here and one over here, and then this walkway sort of bisects it, so it's very unusable. So what I'd like to do is we'll do a small bluestone retaining wall, again, 18 inches high, that'll tie into the house. We'll do very wide slab bluestone steps that take you up those 18 inches, and then I'm going to reuse the material that we're taking out from these 2 pads to reconstruct this patio, and then we'll use them as stepping stones in a softer way with steppables in between to a new patio for the pool. And that patio, we would probably like to use a quartzite that looks like bluestone. I bought some samples. Just because bluestone tends to be very hot. This is super exposed, southern exposure. They have 4 little kids that, we don't want them to burn their feet. The other concern was keeping the kids away from the pool. So there's the existing wall that extends that looks out towards the lake. So we're gonna tie in a black aluminum that looks like wrought iron fence. From that wall across, there'll be a double gate for access up to the rest of the yard. And then it ties into a wall that's on the side of the house here. And then we'll have a single gate. There's a doorway here from the family room. And then that fence will be parallel to the house, but I'm gonna have a hedge in between, so you really won't even notice that. And then from their dining terrace, I want to keep the view open so that they can see through to the area. So it'll follow the wall, but 2 foot back from that. And then there'll be a wide double gate, and then it'll again come in and attach to the wall that's existing on that side. So that's the main, and then what I'd like to do over the dining terrace to give it a little bit more of a feeling, sort of balance. There's a lot of black railings on the left-hand side of the southern facing facade. And so we'd like to do a very simple black and steel arbor, but only like 2-inch wide square, make it very airy. Just Carl loves roses, and so we'd like to do some climbing New Dawn roses on it, and just to give it a little bit of structure when you're sitting there. So it would be freestanding because their bathroom bay sticks out over that area. So again, it's not attached to the house at all. And it would be, again, more in the style of the picture, very light, just 2 supports with a straight across, and then some.
I would love to see how high that comes up versus the architecture of the house.
It comes, I tried to show it here, it
The-
comes right above, the bottom trim. So it's above the window, so another window to facing that.
Clear rationale, yeah.
Yeah, so I definitely wanted it to be above that and just should blend in completely, because again, I think the trim there is black and then this would be black, and so it's gonna be very not.
And how tall is that whole,
I believe it's about 11 feet high. So, yeah, it's like 1 story, you know. the building.
mhm.
Do you want me to continue to?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
please.
please.
So with the landscaping, with the entryway and the big island, I wanted it to have a little bit. Right now, there's some existing big evergreens. We're gonna see two. There are two blue spruces in there that I feel are not doing well, and they're very heavy. The thing is just very heavy, and then grass. So what I'd like to do is sort of formalize the ends. So I would do a boxwood hedge. On this end, we would do some very low crab apples. They're called coral burst. With some perennials, there's Amsonia, Japanese forest grass, some coral bells, and catmint. And then on the far end here, right opposite the front door, we want to do a statement sort of tree that can get really old and beautiful. And I picked a Perodia, a Persian ironwood. So again, those evergreens would stay, the dwarf Norway spruce. And then we would just do ferns and some low Japanese forest grass and some Annabelle hydrangeas. But now the center section will become almost like a stylized meadow because it's such a big open space. And I feel like we would do a matrix of nice grasses. There's Spirabolus, Calamagrostis, and little blue stem. I did add 3 hydrangeas for a little bit of structure, but then there'll be, masses of perennials that'll bloom from spring through fall. So I have Amsonia and Baptisia in the spring. There'll be black-eyed Susans and Monarda, bee balm, and then it'll transition into asters in the fall. So you'll get a succession of blooms. On the service drive, there's an existing weeping Norway spruce that we're going to move to here. It sort of overwhelms the entrance to the walkway up. And I'm going to add a fastigiate sugar maple on the corner. The house is very high here, so I want to just soften that area. And then again, I'm doing some lilacs. There'll be masses of perennials and low grasses like Pennsylvania sedge. In the shadier areas here, there's hellebores and epimediums and ferns. In the front here, I'm pulling the curb back from the house to allow having a nice ornamental tree against the house here. This is a blank wall. So I'm proposing to do an autumn moon Japanese maple. It has a beautiful leaf and texture. And again, we'll do some cloud boxwood plantings along the foundation and then just hellebores, grasses, very simple and, understated. There is a trellis here that's attached to the house. We're going to do some climbing hydrangea on. And then on this side, again, to accent or to soften the height, I'm using a fastigiate sweet gum called Slender Silhouette. On the edges here, there's the existing walls. We're going to do some perennial masses. There'll be some roses, some lavender. There'll be coneflowers and sedums and some peonies and a little bit more traditional sort of Englishy kind of things. There's a little patio on this side that has a crumbling set of stairs. So we're reworking the stairs, just again, more slab bluestone steps like we did here. It's a cute little nook for the girls to play in. So there are existing viburnums that we're keeping. There's 3 that we'll transplant out to the property line. I'll show you in a little bit. But we're adding oak leaf hydrangea, anemones, Solomon seal. There's boxwood here already. I'm just adding a curtain of some Pennsylvania sedge on this side. And then there is one beautiful specimen. It's growing into one of the dwarf Norway spruces, but it's a Japanese pine, and we're going to transplant that to a spot here on the side of the house. And then there's hydrangeas, more ground covers, Vernonia, which is ironwood. And then as you go from the terrace out, again, I did that low wall. There's a blank wall here. I'm doing a fastigiate crabapple called Adirondack. And then low plantings in front of the wall. There'll be some white coneflower, some alliums, some stackies, humelo, and some geraniums. And then as you go up the steps, again, we'll have some creepables on the edges, phlox, more alliums. There's Russian sage, there's coreopsis, there's yarrows up here. So, you know, really pretty flowering things along this foundation. And then on this side, it sort of transitions to more ridge line, but there's sort of a little pocket here. So I want to do a sunflower stylized meadow with a big swath of Heliopsis. And there'll be grasses like panicum and black andropogon, monarda, a lot of natives in that section. Can I go on to the trees? So with the tree replacement, I know it's a little dull, I'm sorry, but I wanted to bring back some nice shade trees, some nice natives. So we have some wildfire nyssa, sorry. This is the front corner of the property as you come around. There is a little gateway, so I'm adding a buckeye here, so that's another native tree. And then as you come up the driveway,
You use the white ones or the red ones?
I'm using one red and one yellow one called
Oh,
Autumn
interesting.
Splendor. It's really pretty. Near the back guest house, there's a little bit more openness, so I'm adding a sugar maple there. Again, I have the fastigiate sugar maple on the corner of the house here. There's a Carolina silver bell I'm adding, the crab apples here, the Japanese maple, the perodia, the sweet gum. There's a dogwood.
That's already there, right? That very old dogwood, is it? Or you
No, I'm adding
you're
a new
adding
one
that?
too,
Okay,
because I
that's
feel
good.
like-
It's behind,
Yeah,
right,
I don't know if
right,
this is
yeah.
an office. What is the room off here? Family room, this front little.
Oh, that's gonna be a kid's room, a playroom.
Oh, okay.
It's still being renovated.
I thought it would be nice to have a flowering tree there. There's hemlocks and stuff in this area, so I felt like it needed something a little bit more flowering there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the back, Carl and Baba really like, you know, the idea of their kids knowing where food comes from and starting to grow some fruit trees and things. So we're gonna have some apple trees. I actually chose correctly on the other plan, but there's gonna be 4, one for each of his daughters that we're planting on this knoll here. There'll be a cherry tree that we're adding. And then as you get into the lower areas, I'm adding a swamp white oak. And then I'm adding.
What's that?
Swamp white oak is a native oak tree. It's
Okay,
Orchis bicolor. If you
okay.
go to the
Yeah, I know that
9/11,
name, yeah. mhm.
they're all the trees
Yeah.
at 9/11.
Okay,
And then we're all on this line as you come up the street. This is the exposed fence. I'm adding some gray birch. Again, it's sort of difficult as we move out to the, you know, because it's not gonna get watered. There's a lot of rock. You know, ideally, you would start with saplings. They have a better chance of getting root. So, you know, I want to be realistic that what I plant actually can survive.
Yes.
So I'm focusing more here where we can
Mhm.
actually irrigate it, you know, and then as we develop the property, you know, we definitely want to add more trees and really do the right thing here. It's a beautiful property.
Is there kind of a basin where the swamp white oaks are going, or
No,
is
it
there a
can
reason?
take
Oh,
dry
it can.
too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Despite
actually
the
a
name.
super tough oak,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah.
That's why I picked it, and it's a good native,
Great.
so.
so are you putting any saplings in now, or you're not proposing to put any in?
We
This
didn't
time.
really talk about it, because I wasn't part of the last
Right,
conversation, so I didn't really,
right.
you know. I wanted to give a few trees for now and then, you know, something that would make sense with this first phase, but.
Do you have any
That sounds
comments?
beautiful. Lots of action for the pollinators and
I would have preferred not to have any Japanese maples. They just do nothing for anyone. You know, but the thing is, there's so many in the park already, and I think there's like 5 native insects that have anything to do with it. So, I mean, what about a persimmon? Do you know American persimmons? They're the
Yeah.
most spectacular forest colors of all the American trees, and you can eat the persimmons, and they're self-pruning. Can't really beat that. Could you just possibly introduce anything like that, just to create, you know, if we look at the park as a, you know, not just as one person, but as all of us together, if each person adds something that is not already here, I think it just would help all the wildlife. And those, did you know they're this big, those persimmons? Those kids are going to love them. They're the most delicious American persimmons, much better than others.
Mm.
And you can't
We
buy
could
them.
certainly substitute.
It's just
that.
an
The only-
example, just
Yeah.
to, because it
The only
seems, Mm-hmm.
reason I picked the Japanese maple I did, and it's autumn, it's not typical, it's not your red leaf Japanese maple, you know. It's a smaller stature because the spot that I'm picking, it needs
Yes.
a sculptural
Right,
tree that's
right.
not gonna get
do you
overwhelming.
know there's an
So-
Amelanchier Autumn Glory? Do you know that? That's a serviceberry.
Yeah.
Would that do well in that area or
I love Amelanchiers, but it's very fine, it's very hard to find like a
a good specimen
gorgeous specimen.
I
Yeah.
see.
They're usually either
at that
shrubby.
scale, right?
Yeah, like you need, like you always see them in, you know, every British designer uses them and they're gorgeous.
Yes.
Right.
But they just don't. grow
Easy to
the
buy a
same.
young one but you want something that can
I
be.
want something multi-stem that has
Yeah,
character
yeah.
and it's pruned, you know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
me trying to find it in the nursery.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
But I can certainly try to look for one because that would do well. It's the north side of the house too, so I
Mhm.
need something that's an understory kind of shade tolerant tree.
Mhm. And I think closer to the house, you can make much more of a case for a non-native than as you get away from the house, it would be nice and in greater number to get to
Yeah.
do natives, but
I think that's true for the plants now, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a comment about the trellis? That 11-foot trellis?
Well, I liked the fact that you used the rationale of that sort of, there's a beam, I guess a lateral beam or something, it's the same color. And so it made good sense to me. And it will give a very airy feeling. I mean, that gives it a little bit of room for some draping or some growing down too.
Yeah.
Did you see that side of the house?
I have seen it, but I wasn't able to arrange a
Mhm.
visit this week, but.
Okay. I just thought that architecture there is so spectacular. I wouldn't have anything in front of it.
Right.
Well, if you look at the house,
Mhm.
it's not, it's not that it's unbalanced by any means, but there's a lot going on with the
Balcony.
balcony of the new entryway, a lot of black there, and and then there's a lot of windows and it's sort of very open on this side where the dining terrace is. And again, it's, the members are gonna be 2 inches
Mhm.
wide and you only have 2 and then, like 12 feet away, you have another 2. So it's very light in
Mhm.
texture. It's not gonna appear heavy at all,
And do you think that's gonna be covered quite quickly with plants?
Well, they don't necessarily want it completely covered, we're gonna put roses on the outside piers, not the one,
Mhm.
because you're gonna have 2 closer to the house, so, and then we'll just let it organically sort of, cover as much,
Mhm.
the idea isn't it necessarily for it to be completely like a wisteria drip,
Just
like.
kind of mediated a little
Yeah.
bit for that, yeah.
When
I
you're
also-
sitting there, you don't feel, it's sort of nice to feel a little nestled in there, because again, it's southern exposure, it's, I think it just makes it feel like it's an outdoor room as opposed to just, being out in the full sun, you know, it gives a little bit of shadow, but not a lot, because again, we're trying to keep it very, very light.
Could you just show me how you think it's gonna balance out the busyness on the other side? Because I didn't notice that. I was just looking at the detail of the
Yeah,
house.
and I apologize, the green, I couldn't,
No,
for
it's-
some reason, I couldn't get the architectural. So this is it, and this is, so you don't even really see it. And then, again, it's hard, this is where the porches,
Mhm.
which is much heavier because this is all black. Well, that green, I'm sorry, it's black. The
Right, so
railing's
it's
all
comes
black.
down.
it's
Yeah.
gonna create
All
a
of
ba-
that.
a balance.
Yeah, and then I think
right.
there's actually like timbers that are
Exactly.
black too that, so it's, this is definitely heavy, this is light, and then this is the brick, you know?
Mhm.
So I feel like it helps to balance things a little bit, besides the fact that it'll make it feel, you know.
But is this kind of sort of almost like an industrial type?
Well,
Is
if you look
is
at
it more
the,
like that?
I know it's hard to see that,
Mm.
but it's more like more English country, you
We have
know.
that picture on your phone, because I really do think when we're able to look at it bigger, you can see.
I don't have it on my phone, but I could definitely.
Is
give
it
you
a
bigger.
rounded?
No, it's
Oh,
square.
It is square, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's actual.
So it's almost matching, you know, the windows.
But it's
you know,
not
being
it's not the aluminum.
No, 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 no,
It's
it's a black and steel.
proper, yeah, heavy,
Yes,
and it can bear the weight. yeah.
yes. Mhm.
We'll have kind of a, like a matte finish or,
Yeah, Matt.
yeah.
Mm. And we can, you know, this is preliminary, but we could get samples to you.
I think it sounds
Yeah.
lovely. And then you're going to use climbing hydrangea on some of the existing.
That's the.
Climbing hydrangea
on
is
the
on the
other
north
side,
side.
on the other
Yeah, on the
side of
north
the-
And
side.
yeah, and that's gonna make use of what has always just been kind of a dummy. There's a lot of sort of trellising.
Yes.
For effect, but it's all dressed up and no place to go. And
Yeah.
then you're going to actually use that, which I like a lot,
Yeah.
and soften the house a little bit.
Mhm.
Rob, did you have a comment about this?
Well, I think since you're going to screen it with hedging and everything, and it really is a tool just for safety,
Yeah.
and it's away from the house and anything that's visible, I think that makes good cost-effective sense and,
Yeah.
you know,
And
something
the
that's
black
close,
Disappears pretty,
right?
you know.
I think something that's close, that's abutting, close like this should be a higher, as, I guess that's your intention, a finer material,
Yeah.
more serious, so I mean, I personally think that's, makes a lot of sense. It's not ideal, but it's not, I think it's really invisible and just solving a problem as opposed to.
And down the road, they
Okay.
might take it down because the kids.
Exactly.
we
what
discussed
Rob
today.
said.
Right.
You know
Exactly,
what I
we
mean?
said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think if it was my house, I would be bothered by the kind of the shape, the way it.
But the pool is
I
an
know.
awkward shape,
I know.
and these walls, existing walls are an awkward shape.
Having
And I think
observed
it's really
it, I
gonna
also found it
disappear.
impossible to find a better shape. I was thinking, how
Yeah.
would I do it? It's not possible to come up
Yeah.
with a different shape.
So I would have preferred to not have a fence there at all.
I know.
I think
Hopefully
having
I get
these-
to
Once they grow
go
out
back
of
there,
it,
Yeah,
but they're-
having the hedges is
future
really
is
gonna help because it's
individual,
gonna,
yeah.
safety first.
because here it's really a straight line to the existing, there's a stone wall here. So from that stone wall, there'll be one gate and then it comes across. And then I'm doing a hedge, so you're not even gonna really
You
even
won't see
notice
it.
that section.
Mhm.
Here, it just follows the wall, but you want to have an open feeling so you can see the kids if you're sitting down here.
Right.
And then it comes straight across and then again straight, and then I have to curve it in and then there's
I
that
know.
reverse curve. But again, I'm hiding it here with the hedge.
Mhm.
So I'm really trying to just, and the meadow here is gonna, the flower, the panicums and everything, and they're gonna be
Right.
as tall as the fence
Mm.
and the sunflowers. So I think that's
I
gonna
was
get as
thinking,
well.
what about, can you do some Elex glabra or something instead of the boxwoods? Do you not like that?
The deer like it.
Elex?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've never eaten it. from
Is that the
my
Really?
place.
Pink?
And I, yeah.
It's the native replacement of
Mm.
boxwood,
Oh.
because of the boxwood blight
Sure,
and all of
sure,
that. We're
yeah.
not supposed to be using boxwoods.
But there's the generation series of there's a lot of boxwoods now that are
Blight
more
resistant,
resistant. Yeah.
So you're totally opposed to any native replacement for the boxwoods?
I just feel it's in keeping with Tuxedo has a lot of.
I know, I hate them so much.
And I find that Ilex glabra tends to just, it doesn't,
Doesn't take direction as well as.
it doesn't take direction, it doesn't really, it tends to fall
box.
apart in my opinion and get leggy.
Mhm.
You know, and so then it loses its sort of purpose as structure, because really, I'm just trying to, it's a beautiful formal house. So I'm trying to meld, you know, the formal piece with with the natural piece. So that's why I used the hedges, and also to make sense of the existing dwarf Norways. I just felt like if I made sort of a hedge between them, and it's a frame for the focal tree on this side, and then it sort of makes sense as you come in to have a little bit more structured planting here, you know, to sort of, you know, be your focal point, and then as you drive around, the meadow sort of creeps through, and
I also think, you know, just the 80-20 principle, you're bringing so many good natives in
Yeah.
that, you know, a couple non-natives, you know,
It would be super good to know what you're planning for the back as part of this whole, rather than saying, oh, we'll do it later. Is there any way you
Sure.
could, you know, yeah. Where's, oh, I'm sorry. You know, so we could kind of,
I think that makes
Uh,
sense, just
do you have,
a
do you have an
number.
idea of
Yeah.
what you're gonna put there, or,
Put where, sorry?
you know, whether,
yeah. Well, a lot of this is rock. This is all rock. So,
You could do a lot of staghorn sumac down there. They'd be thrilled,
yeah,
which is such a good, you know.
I like
but
sumac.
don't
I
they need a
love,
bit of, don't they need more sun than that? It's a bit shady.
Oh, is it, where, that's shady, is it?
This is a bit, it's a
that's,
bit
most of
shaded.
this is shady. It's-
Oh,
It's
okay.
very hard to see,
But I'm
you
all
know.
over the staghorn sumac. I love that stuff.
Maybe over,
Yeah.
where's the
Well,
rock?
that could be,
Oh, it's in-
the rock is all here as you drive up. Well, actually, no,
So down,
it's here,
yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
down here. it could
This
be
is
very
all,
well
this
lit.
is very, very, you know,
This,
wooded. This is all wooded. There's only a little open spot in here.
But like
And this
right,
is rock.
yeah, exactly. And you come up the road, like that
Yeah.
whole area would probably thrive.
So
We could
those
do
kids can
fragrance
make a
sumac
fabulous
too.
tea out
that
of that.
nice?
Did you know the
Yeah.
American
I didn't know
Indians
that.
used to
Yeah,
lick
it's a
that
great ground
staghorn
cover.
sumac?
really?
It's-
Oh,
it's
okay.
Yeah.
sour
Low,
and you
it's a
can-
lower one.
In the
It's
summer, you can
beautiful.
break it off.
I've
You
used it
put
on
it
a
in
couple
cold water and
properties.
then
Yeah.
you
Nice.
drink it
Yeah.
like a hibiscus.
Love it.
Oh, wonderful.
I like that.
Yeah.
Has beautiful fall color.
Yeah.
I love it in the fall,
Yeah.
the sumac. It's just so gorgeous.
So I think that's really my only thing that do you think you could maybe provide just a list of what you're gonna put back there and,
Okay,
But this is the plan of what we plan to go forward with right now.
Mhm.
Anything else we would treat as a completely different project.
okay.
And so this is what I would like to keep the scope to at this
Right.
stage.
Well, I thought part of the remediation was that some trees will be planted
We
there.
didn't say where, right? We said
No,
we agreed
in
on a
a
number of
general area.
trees. No, we agreed on a number of trees and that we would place them in the appropriate places around the property. That was the agreement. It wasn't designated to say it's in
So
this
they were gonna
area.
be put in the same place.
No.
Did
Well,
did
yeah,
you know that?
again, the
thought they
difficulty,
would put in the same.
I think it was a
where they-
fairly general statement of intent.
It was very
Yeah.
general statement.
Right.
I've rewatched now this recording like
Okay.
4 or 5
That-
times to make sure that we.
Jibes
Yeah.
with what I remember, but,
again, the difficulty is that so much of this area is remote to water and
Mhm.
very rocky. So again, unless we start with very small saplings, I don't think they're gonna have a chance, which, you know,
right, right.
So how many new trees would you say? are
I'm
being
putting in
planted?
about 21, so more than what was
Mhm.
originally designated. And then obviously, you know, that's just the trees, and then there's native shrubs and
Right.
tons of native perennials and grasses.
So Tom, do you have any comments? I know you weren't part of this.
No, I wasn't. I did read some of the materials from it, but yeah,
Mhm.
no, I don't have any further questions, honestly. You obviously spent great time extensively looking into what should be here, and I don't have any questions or?
So the plan is to tackle this now and then come back in 36 months or something and
Like us, yeah, 36
Yeah.
months sounds,
Yeah.
as soon as we are basically able to, I want to continue to work on the property forever.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit today when you came by. I would love to explore having a conservatory back in the courtyard, and there's a lot of hopes and dreams for the place, but
Yeah.
you have to
One
go at
thing at a
it
time.
one thing at a time. You have to.
I think it's really lovely what you're doing and I'm all for it.
There's no more comments.
I agree.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the plan as presented today by Andrea Buckingham, dated March 1, 2025. There's no revision on it. So what do we call these? There's what phase 1 planting plan of March 7th and the plant list and tree replacement plan of March the 1st, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Thank
Great.
you. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you, Colin.
Thank you.
That was super, super helpful.
Thank you.
With sort of,
Appreciate the help.
it's really helpful. Thank you. Now, is
I don't see Mr. Singh.
exactly,
here.
I don't, is there anyone representing the third applicant for today? Of Fox Hill Road? No?
Can we just
So
circle
we'll-
back to them when they?
Yeah.
whenever?
So we'll just skip the third and can we go to Mr. Witte of 76 Tower Hill Road, please? Is that
Yeah,
you?
we'll jump over the number 3 and come to you and then.
I didn't know it was on the agenda tonight.
Oh,
Oh,
Do you have the pictures?
Yeah, sure.
well, it's lucky that you came, if you didn't think it was on the agenda. So would you like to talk us through your idea?
I'd like to talk you through the designer's idea.
Okay.
I just want to put in a water feature without a pond and without any standing water. Okay, it comes, I have an embankment, it would start in the embankment, it would serpentine through the lawn and just peter out in the middle of the lawn with a pump that'll just recirculate.
Okay,
Okay, and at the end of the season, you remove the pump. And they're going to tie in that little basin to a stormwater system, so there won't be any standing water at any time, even if it rains.
so is there a stream currently that
No.
you're enhancing? So it's
No, no,
is there
no.
a well or?
No, nothing, okay?
Mhm.
It's just that the slope is such that if you start high, you have a couple drops and you could put in some waterfalls. So it would drop 3 feet, 2 feet, 1 feet, and then it would go into the basin and just recirculate. And the scale of it is from here is 25 feet and then another 25 feet, so it's 50 feet.
So it's starting.
Wait a
here
second,
and-
wait a second, wait a second. I have to make sure I'm in the right place. It starts here, it goes 25 feet and then another 25 feet, it's 50 feet.
Mhm.
And the width will be determined, but it shouldn't be much more than 3 feet, okay?
Do they give any idea what the volume of water that's gonna be circulating in there is?
I'm sorry, they told me,
You threw numbers at you,
But-
yeah,
you know, it depends on the size of the pump.
right.
And it also depends on how narrow it gets, because as it gets narrow, the pressure is more, okay? But as I say, there's no pond and it's now right here.
How would they manage, I mean, maybe talk to the designer of this, but how will they manage a very heavy downpour during the summer months while this is circulating? I mean, it's
Oh,
liable to
is there an
overflow
overflow?
or?
yeah, there is an overflow.
Okay,
Okay. Because I have a stormwater system that they're gonna tap into.
okay.
Right, so all the water goes right into that stormwater system. If you get like a perfect storm, it keeps on going. and
Yeah,
going
well, that's
and
what I was thinking, because
Right.
these storms are getting more and more.
And during a hot summer, you would have to refill it with a hose.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
And right here, you can see a redwood bridge.
Mhm.
Okay. My wife bought me a redwood table about 50 years ago. She hates it.
Even though she bought it.
She bought it and she hated it when she bought it for me. Okay. So I'm gonna take that out of the basement and just put it, and so it'll act like a bridge. The water will go underneath it.
So, so who designed it? Who was the designer? A company that's.
Yes,
proposing it?
it's Gordon and Coy up on
So
94.
they're gonna be fish in it?
No fish.
No.
No
Okay.
fish. So the reason I don't want any fish is because I don't want the animals. I don't want foxes and possums or anything that's going to invade and my dog's gonna go crazy if there's a raccoon. So,
Someone's gonna come by for a drink, you know, that, right?
yeah, yeah. So there's no fish and again, there's no pond and no standing water.
Right.
Right, you want to be able to empty it.
Yes,
Once a year, right?
it just drains out.
It looks lovely to me. My only question is, the resolution, like when you have a non-natural sort of body of water, I think you kind of want some stagecraft to sort of hide the fact that it peters out into nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's sort of, if that's the resolution point and it's visible, I tend to think you'd want some way of kind of disguising that.
I don't think you can see it from the road because it's a dip in the lawn.
Sure.
Mm.
No, I meant more for you, but I mean,
Oh,
So I think it needs to be developed more to understand how it fits vis-a-vis the house, in a scale, a proper scale. So we understand, how how it sits on the lawn and, how close it is to the road and how high, I don't think it's developed enough to make any decisions today, would you say?
well, I would love to see it on site,
Yes,
see the way they come down.
Yeah.
yes.
okay, now it's all chalked out.
Okay.
The problem is with the rain, I don't know how much of the chalk is left. And I have a more detailed plan. But again, I didn't think I was on the agenda.
Okay.
Understood.
Okay,
So
well,
this
that's
is a
good.
great
It's a very good
introductory
introduction.
course. And
Exactly.
Okay.
And we would, I think definitely if we could replace that with, that's existing? That Japanese maple? Or is that a new planting?
All right, this is existing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Well, they plan to make it symmetrical, to put in one Japanese maple. Okay, because there's a bunch of Japanese maples up there and they just want to make it symmetrical.
right,
So, and it's gonna be small because I don't want it to block my view.
right, right.
Okay, so it's gonna be small and just to balance everything out. No. I mean, if you want to do a site visit, that
Yeah, it
would
would be really
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
it'd be useful.
please. And if you could send us any additional plans that you have, that would be extremely
Yeah.
helpful. You said you have more detailed
Mhm.
scale plans.
Yeah, it's just the measurements from the size of the patio and this,
Oh, yeah, that's
okay.
very important.
I think we gotta get a better grasp on the hydrology too, right, John? I mean, from the standpoint, the water flow and the collection system and all that, make sure there's not
Yes, I think
Creative.
I think the water management system there was installed to manage the water from the existing house and the driveway, but the driveway's a little removed from this. We shouldn't overload the system
Yeah,
that
we
was
just wanna
already
make sure it's
installed
safe.
through this. But I think we gotta start by just making sure the perimeter of this is marked so everybody can
Yeah.
see where it's going.
Yeah.
And how much excavation is really gonna be, what's the deepest part of this, I don't know. I mean, I understand you're trying to do it with as little depth as possible, but there's gonna be some depth to contain the water. And then how is the soil and the rocks that you're proposing gonna meld into the existing terrain to make it look like it flows with the property and it's not contrived? That's the real.
Yeah,
I think that's
That's
really
all.
well put, and that's sort of what I was trying to get at. I think the contrived factor gets very sensitive here, but there's so many ways of providing a really good resolution that is in keeping with a pond, or whether it's reeds or flag iris or some kind of bushes or that
So is
are-
there concrete? Is there concrete that the water flows over, or is it
It's
It's
a line,
plastic.
it's a plastic.
plastic?
I saw.
Plastic liner.
with gravel over the plastic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I did a sample of the gravel and maybe some indication of the sample of the stone that's gonna be used to make up the.
That's really important.
And there are a couple grades, so of that kind of rubber or plastic, right? That for
Yeah, they spec.
there's some that are really quite good.
no, I shouldn't say this, but at the price they're quoting me for, they better use good stuff.
No, I hear you.
The other thing that I was really,
And
That it's not blue, they're not gonna have.
they're
a
typically
blue
black,
center.
aren't they?
the liner,
To emulate a pond,
Yeah.
it's black, yeah.
yeah, it's
And the
gonna,
pool
Okay.
might be blue.
And again, you'll see gravel or rocks.
it's my understanding, and it's also my understanding that my wife does not want lights.
Oh,
Good for her.
Good, thank you for that. Please thank her for that. Really good.
The other thing that I'm very excited about, maybe you're not, is that a lot of the stonework will be cut stone from the original house.
Amazing.
Right. So everything is natural,
Wow.
except for the plastic lining.
Yeah.
You know what might be good to help you also, and to make sure that this company doesn't build something that you don't expect, is to see some of their other work and to be able to show us what it resembles. If it's something they've done before.
Oh, I have the book.
Oh, okay,
I
that's
have the
good.
books. Again, I just came here just to get a feeling. And
Yeah,
so,
bring the books. That would
yeah,
be.
I'll bring the
Thank you.
book. And on page 19
Okay.
is sort of the one I want. Okay, but what happens is because of the natural terrain, they want to follow nature.
Mhm.
Okay, so they want to they want to make something kind of really nice, but it might be that where they think a stone should go here, they have to move it just to keep the flow going. Okay, so it really isn't a big scale. 50 feet isn't really long, but that's besides the point. I can mark it out again.
You mark it out and let me know when it's marked out, and then I'll let the board know, and then we'll schedule a site visit.
Okay, I can mark it out and then, yeah.
Okay, well,
that's about
thank you
it.
so much for,
And I'll bring you the more detailed
Okay.
plans.
thank you.
Okay,
It's a really fun project.
Yeah.
I hope. I hope this is my birthday gift.
Richard, I need
My
that
wife.
plan. Oh, that's fine. I'll let you know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks so
thank
much.
you.
You like to step forward? Sure.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Sarah. Phillips.
Okay, thank you
And
so much.
Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to review my application. John, 8 Stable Road is a modest 2,000 square foot carriage house on basically a dead end street. It's very kind of up there, small, quaint.
I brought this for you in case you didn't have it.
Oh, what is that?
That's the color chart.
No,
No, that's good,
yes,
good.
I'm familiar, because I,
That's good.
renovated a house in a historic home in downtown Charleston. So that is a rather extensive process.
That's good.
So anyway, so here we are, and I'm going through a kind of a modest interior remodel that's previously permitted by John. And part of our plan is to update the exterior. And my boyfriend, who's been in the park since 1982, his dream is to make it a tuxedo home. And so he translates that into, it's a white house with green shutters, trim. So I was like, okay. And so this is the existing house. And in the back of the property, there is a fence. Parts of it are better than others. And so at this point, honestly, I don't know whose fence it is. Lily Newhouser is my neighbor, and I'm not sure if it's, I mean, the way it's built would suggest that it's my fence because I'm
Okay.
looking at the back of it.
Mhm.
But I'm not really looking at any issue related to whose fence it is. I just want to make the fence look as attractive as possible. And so there you can see from the side, this side of the house, basically the fence is all along the back there. And so what I'd like to do is to connect the fence to the house. Basically, instead of it looking like some random fence at the back of the
Means put
property.
an arm that's perpendicular coming towards it or how?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna repair the supports, but I was thinking of painting it,
Oh, I
the
see.
color of my trim,
Ah,
Green.
green, right? And
On
so
the outside,
on my
on
side.
yours, on the inside.
so you'd be
On the-
staining it probably.
Well,
or-
I don't know,
otherwise
would
you-
I be staining it or painting it?
It depends
Okay.
how much you want to pay every other year.
Well, but so paint is supposed to, so that's another question.
Yeah.
But so I'm just at this point trying to connect the back of the property to the house.
Right.
And so, and at the same time,
But so visually, but not physically, you're not coming
oh,
around.
no, not
That's why I
physically,
asked
just
about
visually.
that. Yeah.
Oh,
That
no,
was the
visually,
question. So we were
visually.
thinking there's gonna be a fence
No,
coming
no,
around.
no, no, no,
Got
no,
it,
no, no.
got it. Okay.
No. And so, my shutters, currently, these are vinyl shutters. And my garage door was probably bought in the clearance department at Home Depot.
Mhm.
Because it's at least 6 inches wider than the opening
No,
of the,
really?
it's like, and I understand your desire for these would be cedar. And this is a solid wood garage door is what I'm proposing.
Nice.
That's nice.
And what I'd like to do is have raised panel shutters with shutter stays, the shutter dogs and the dummy hinges. And my garage door,
So they don't close.
they don't close.
Okay. And currently they don't close.
Currently, they don't close. They don't do anything but fall
I
off.
think Rob has got a pet hate for these.
Mhm.
Do you have a,
Mm.
shutters that don't work?
Well,
Oh, okay.
I love shutters that do work, but I mean,
Yes.
Okay.
Why don't you make them work?
Um,
do you mean having like two layers and so you can
No.
sense the sort of.
Just so they can move and be actually closed.
well, so I know that
Are they too short?
here, I'm limited by how wide they can be because of the proximity of the two windows. And
So it
so
doesn't, they're too short to actually cover the window?
they're too short here to cover the
Mhm.
window.
Got it. Okay.
So,
So they're going to be, right, sort
Yeah.
of. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think it can work on that.
and so in terms of color, and so the garage door I currently have windows. I kind of like having windows because,
Oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
and so, and this is kind of ties into the carriage.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's
Look,
fantastic. Yeah.
So that's my desired door.
Mhm.
And I would like the door to match the green shutters and the front door to kind of make it a package
Mhm.
deal and then have the back fence kind of help pull it all together.
Sure.
But it's, I mean, it's 2,000 square feet. It's a very modest place, you know?
Yeah, I drove by the other day. Yeah.
And so, in terms of color, I'm hoping that you like my favorite white color. I use it everywhere.
Oh, what is it?
It is, Benjamin Moore White Dove.
Okay.
And it's not a bright white, it's
I
not a
can see
yellow
that.
white. It's just a very kind of warm, soft white
So the cedar and the walls are gonna be painted in one.
color. Mhm.
I think that's a great
Mhm.
step ahead, I think.
Yes,
Mhm.
because I mean, basically, this was probably painted in the 90s, you know, it's kind of looking very dated at this
The
point.
stucco, you mean?
The whole,
The
with
whole
the
thing.
gray, the black and the white, it's
Mhm.
kind of like, I think we've left that decade or that.
Is there a
century.
way to give, just so you don't,
Mhm.
like right now, you've got some relent of, is there a way to give different gradations of value to like dignify and separate this from this and this
Oh.
from this and
So,
so that, right, because I worry that this will just disappear entirely if it's all, if this and, or is this going to be a brighter white and then this is,
Wait,
a-
that's green, isn't it? Are you?
or will
oh,
that be green?
Are
Okay,
you the window
well-
frame green?
well,
No.
that is a good question.
'Cause I was just
hadn't even
thinking-
thought about that. And so,
So then if this is going to be green, then these should be green too, or what?
right,
So,
I was thinking that, this was gonna be white and I understand, you
maybe-
think it would get lost. You
Mhm.
know what, I agree with that.
right.
And so,
I mean, you could have these two squares be, you could try doing those green, but I think it should be white.
But a different
I mean,
white.
this should be a brighter white, just like this would be, this and this would be a brighter white.
Okay, that's nice. So,
Okay.
right, so you will see a difference and then,
Yeah.
I don't need a difference.
You- and you
between
don't need-
those,
okay,
I
good.
personally, because you already have the different
I
texture.
think I was
and
just
the different
asking because
material.
the status quo has it, but I mean,
Mhm.
I agree. I think, and I think if this is dignified popping off and this too, maybe
As well as
this-
this frame back here.
mm-hmm. And maybe you allow the hay pulley to be the bright white too, so that you see that.
Yes, And so then the question becomes, what is it the brighter white? Does it become a cut of this color? Or does it become a different color? And I'm kind of just thinking out loud, basically.
You mean for how 50-50 or?
Well, this is, it would need to be a fairly bright white to have an effect.
Otherwise, you're never gonna see the difference.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Or if it isn't really, it would need to be a little bit cooler. I mean, you could also, it could be in value, not as much of a departure,
Right.
but offset through coolness.
Right,
There are
right.
Two ways
Okay.
to, or both, I mean.
Right. And so then,
Or you could go one step up in, I mean, there's so many ways to solve
skin
it.
the cat.
Yeah.
Right. I think I would go whiter. I would go whiter here and here
Mm-hmm,
and keep this as my house color.
mm-hmm, that makes sense.
And so so you seem to know a lot about colors. Do you know a pure white color?
What, is that Benjamin Moore?
By complete coincidence, there it
We
is.
love Benjamin Moore, so.
And so whose colors are these? This is Benjamin Moore,
I think-
Sherwin Williams.
Like, what's
That's
that?
Benjamin Moore.
What's
Okay.
that one?
This-
Is there something a little bit cooler, brighter? What do we have down here?
Feel free to
Oh.
browse.
Uh-huh.
Do we have some other whites down here? Or no, these are all the gray.
It's weird. I don't know what sort of I have all these different. I just grabbed one and I
Oh.
ran out.
Is that white? No. No,
I really like your idea and I
in
thank you for
concept,
that.
right? Yeah.
No, I think it's I think
Yeah,
it's
more
good to
white,
make the
yeah, I
white
think that
pop
white
off
is
the
different.
softer white.
Yeah.
It's gonna look,
I think that wouldn't be sufficient, but, you know, we
I
know what
think
we're
we need a
talking
different,
about.
there's so,
Mhm.
there are different selections.
okay, so
It's
then,
not the definitive one.
how do you want me to process that?
I think you
Well,
could just
sometimes in
let
the
us know.
past, the
what-
board has asked for maybe just a small sample on a piece of wood, just to see the contrast of the whites. I don't know.
Or,
Okay.
you know, this is a painted sample that you buy, right?
Sample-wise, yeah.
Exactly. So if you had just one of those, that's
Mhm.
basically the same. Okay.
It'd be great to
Okay.
see them, you know, right
Right.
cheek by jowl, and you can see the effect.
Right, and so then the question becomes, what constitutes tuxedo green? Because everyone thinks that,
I
oh,
know.
my door is tuxedo green. No, my door is tuxedo green.
Right,
And
right.
so, and then the question is what weather does to the paint colors
Right.
and the dirt and the snow and everything. And so I thought that it's better to start off brighter and let it go darker over time than to start out darker and have it go dingy in the end, right? And so when I put on the application, I put this and then I found a darker color because I think actually this is a little too bright. And so I was thinking that that would be,
Very handsome.
but is there a tuxedo green?
I've
Or is
heard
it
the
a-
way you have, I've heard it defined black knight all the way to something that's more of a forest green like this or hunter green.
Right, and so I took some pictures of what was in my neighborhood.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And so, there is every version of tuxedo green in my neighborhood. Photos. Oh, so here I was today at my next door neighbor's house. And so one neighbor has this as their garage door. So I thought that what I was doing was kind of marrying
Mhm.
what I had with the windows with that, and I thought it was kind of a nice
Yeah, I like
combination.
Right.
I like
And then this was my neighbor's right next door. That's his front door.
Mhm.
And then, but across the street, it's like, it almost looks black. And then I put up, oh, what does it look like? I bought the samples. What does it look like? And so the one that I kind of really hope that we don't agree on is the Essex green because
Mhm.
it just looks a little, it's like, oh, really? It's just like a little
Yeah, it's
dingy
almost
looking.
black,
Mhm.
Yeah. And so the top is the Essex green and the
Mhm.
bottom is this green.
Yeah.
And I had originally started with this green, but this green ends up being too bright, I thought.
Mhm.
So this is a nice happy
So
medium.
this is the middle one. This is the upper one, right? This is the one,
Yes,
yeah.
because I
this one.
took down this one because I said, you know what, I think it's too bright. So, because it's gonna get darker over time, so I'm like, by next year, it's gonna be a little darker. So, the hunter green.
Hunter green, that it was. Gotta get some of that Benjamin Moore on this, Rob.
Yeah.
Get a definitive tuxedo green for.
Right, I didn't know coming here, are they gonna tell me what tuxedo green is? You
I
know?
wish.
Here's a question for you. I'll just
Uh-huh.
say an unpopular thing, but
Uh-huh,
I worry that, because this should be white, this
Right.
should be white.
Uh-huh.
This is all gonna, I worry that when you have this sudden gigantic, if you paint this green, what you're gonna see is a gigantic rectangle of green. Whereas if you were to follow suit with the white, these will register as dark, the way that these do.
okay.
And the ratio of dark to light.
Uh-huh. You think it's gonna make it too dark to have it be green?
I think it's gonna read as a
gonna
black
be a
hole,
lot of green.
big
A
square,
lot of
a
green,
black hole that is square.
okay.
And it will be ungainly, because I was thinking, well, how do you resolve this? Because basically the entire thing has to, so suddenly you have dark, and then immediately above you have these
Right, and
white.
so one other little query that I went through was, well, do I want to make it stained wood? You know,
Mm-hmm.
but then I thought, well, if it's stained wood and this is
Mhm.
green and white, it kind of falls off. It doesn't really connect to the house.
But are you thinking
nothing else
of,
to
of picking out some details in green or
Oh.
framing it, or what were you?
Well, oh, that's interesting.
Uh-huh.
That's really
I thought
interesting.
that's
I
what
don't
you
Oh
were
my God,
saying.
no.
No, I don't know if the
I
company
was
that's
saying just
making it
like
does
make
that.
this white and allow the lights, but now you're beginning to, I love the idea of, and then it's vaguely Austrian too, which is
I
sort
know,
of
but
fun.
I don't know if, I already ordered the door.
Oh,
from
you
a
did?
Well, I put a deposit down,
Oh.
but they were waiting for the color
Right, so you
to
can
start
ship.
making it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if they do a two-tone color or a
Oh,
two-tone
I see what
door
you're
or
saying,
not.
right, because this
I
is,
love the idea if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
do
yeah.
that, but I just don't know if they do.
right. No,
Because
no,
it's
that's a-
already like,
That's a
all,
good point. It's I guess my
You think it should
feeling
be
is
white?
the safest option
uh-huh,
would be to let these pack the punch, which are beautiful because of your sort of nice muntins and things. Bum, 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 bum. And that I think is going to be very sad. I love this. It's almost like got a salt box. The
Mhm.
continued gable line is so pretty.
Mhm.
And I think if it's suddenly a big dark
It's too
vacuum,
much dark.
Yeah,
it's
you're
gonna
totally right.
ruin the entire
think
effect of
so.
of
Yeah,
that.
you're totally right.
It's gonna compete with it.
And I think these are really beautiful.
Uh-huh.
Let that be sculptural. And
Okay,
and I think these are going to register. This has got to be an inch proud of the, or what, like at least 3/4. I mean, you'll see that sculpturally, the timbering.
sculpturally, you will see that, whereas this has like zero appeal. This current door, it's
Yeah.
just, yeah.
It's very, as you say, 1970 or whatever that
Uh-huh,
is. Yeah.
uh-huh. You know, I appreciate your aesthetic comments, and I would be happy to make it white, given that. I mean, I think that's fine. I think it's better,
And then it
actually.
has a dialogue with that, because
Yeah,
you
yeah.
certainly didn't want to make that green. You wanted to make,
No, no.
but you just wanted to pop a little bit.
Right.
Rob, are you saying this is the white or is this white?
No, it's this way, right? I would assume it would be that way.
Actually, great.
Or is it,
I think it could be either.
or so do I want the trim
I
to
mean,
be the bright white?
technically, this is the wood. I would say that it's having a dialogue with these. The most defining architectural elements are this little portico and
So
the
maybe I
columns.
want it the bright white.
I would
Yeah.
have thought so. but
Right, 1, 2, 3.
Kind of exactly what it's doing now, just with a
Uh-huh.
much better door.
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
Uh,
uh-huh.
and what I think is that there's enough going on here that the shadow will be, it won't
Pretty.
feel like a wall of bright white. I think there'll be so much to look at in terms of the sculptural interest here.
Mhm.
And then, what is that, 12? Yeah,
Uh-huh.
12 little lights, just pow, 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 pow. Similar to this, actually. In fact, this is 12,
Right,
12 and 12.
exactly.
Right? I love this
Are
house.
you
By the way,
an
I'm a
Right.
neighbor of yours,
Oh, you are?
which I probably should have said at the outset.
Oh, I had no idea.
So I'm right up here.
Oh,
I'm right, Lily and I
Beyond Lily,
abut.
beyond Lily.
oh.
So we're that weird sort of Jacobean little gatehouse up on Circuit Road.
Okay,
So even though we're on a different road, we're actually quite close.
okay.
So we're talking about lights, but
Oh, and so this was, if I thought you were gonna make me try something darker.
Is
and
this
I
the
was-
house up on Ridge Road? or-
It's just for sale, and this is kind of a bright green, or it's a brighter green with a white. And it's kind of a sweet take on what is a tuxedo house,
Mhm.
right? And so just from a color standpoint, I thought,
Mhm,
oh, I really kind of
mhm.
I like this house. It's got kind of a
I
bright,
love
fresh
that
look.
house.
And so I was kind of in color thinking, oh,
they painted that green, which I think is maybe too much.
Yes, I agree.
don't need that.
I
You see
agree.
that?
Mhm.
Don't go that far.
Yeah.
and so then,
Imagine that terrible.
Mhm.
uh-huh. Are you fine with my raised panel shutters with my?
They're a little bit dressier than I would have thought for the house, but I don't have a strong feeling.
Uh-huh.
if that's something that's important and feels
Well-
right to you.
I was just kind of throwing it out. But
I would have these simple ones that are made of, a couple of panels that are just, these,
oh, the
ones
straight ones, okay.
with the
Mhm.
with the little, these very simple ones. That's what I.
Are you talking about the shutters?
Mhm.
Oh,
Which might
As
have
a-
to say,
Okay,
because
so-
one of the things I love, sorry to interrupt, but I love the farming, it's very stable road like that. And I feel like these are quite dressy and a little bit like we are in Charleston or in a more urban context or Beacon Hill.
okay.
And there's something, if you're picking up this, and I forget the photograph that you had of the neighbors, but
Uh-huh.
something that felt a little bit more like a carriage house.
So I don't want louver shutters.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
And what you were suggesting is not a louver, it's
No,
a,
it's those, let me just see.
It's
the-
like a,
I have
what you're
an
talking about.
example on this house in the country and I love it so much. It's
Across the
from
river?
18, yeah. Let me just see.
We are running a little short
Oh
on.
my God.
okay.
So this almost has a sort of an interior feeling from,
very dressy.
yeah.
Too dressy, you think? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
If one is
Okay.
being honest, yeah.
that's fine.
Maybe.
I'm putting together the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
It's more like
It's
these, do you see?
Oh, right, yeah. It's funny, those might be a little bit on the, like erring in the opposite
Right,
direction. I
but-
wish there was something.
There's something, this is
Halfway.
the simplest way, but I'm just rushing.
What do they have
Oh.
in that house
What
that you?
about, what about?
Oh, that's nice. And that would really have a nice relationship.
It's fun. And so is this a company that makes them?
It's just a brand, it's just a, I don't know who makes them.
I'm fine with that.
And or
Because
if
then it's kind of got like relief, it's a two
some sculptural.
sculptural, just like the door does.
Oh, I
yeah.
see. And these guys do have louvered, which is what you don't want, right?
I don't want louvered
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm doing plantation shutters on the
Yeah.
inside.
Ah, fun.
Uh-huh.
Are those like Indian shutters? Like kind of, What do you-
They kind of open, so you can
Yeah.
open the tops, you
Or
can
you
leave the
can
closed, the bottoms.
privacy?
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I love shutters.
I
inside.
prefer that to like the heavy drape
Yeah,
look.
yeah.
So, okay, so then are we in agreement that hunter green is fine for my color? That white dove is fine for my exterior, that this is gonna be a brighter white?
Mhm.
Do we want to paint this? Do we want that to be the bright white
I
too?
would think so.
And then also all of these plantings have come out
And
already.
similarly, this line, and I agree with Stephanie, needs to be white. I would make any of these things that are in counterpoint to the field. So the field is this, white dove.
Uh-huh.
And then anything that's the counterpoint to it, e.g. like
is the bright white.
this thing, and then
This and this.
even this.
Even this, the bright white.
I would think you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
define it as a counterpoint to the main field, which would be all the shingling plus all the stucco.
Okay, and so then, how are we proceeding with this? Because I flew up from South Carolina just to do this.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
thank you.
Because I wanna I gotta move on because
Sure.
it takes 8 weeks to get my
I-
garage door made and I'm
I-
looking to spend the summer here,
I
you
don't
know?
have any problem.
Yeah,
But so I need to choose the right bright white color for the garage door.
but you clearly are very conversant in your colors, and I mean, I think this conversation is sufficient.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
For us.
We can,
You've
we
got,
can
like,
let you pick.
This
the-
is a working session in a sense, but really.
No,
what-
and I'm so happy that I have someone to talk to about it because I've been like, you know?
I think it's really, it's a very nice outcome, I think.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
fabulous.
yeah.
I think we have a
So-
good grasp of what you want to accomplish.
Okay, and so what about the fence? Am I staining that or am I painting that?
Well, my only comment there is
make sure who
Make
owns
sure it's
it.
your fence first, or at least discuss it with Lily.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course, I
yeah.
would never do that without doing that, and I
Yeah.
would never let them spray it, you know, I would,
Yeah.
and so I will, and we've already had conversations about,
Isn't she
oh,
amazing?
well, so.
You
we
lucked
got-
out with the neighbor in
I
Lely.
haven't met her.
Oh, well, you will.
But I emailed her because I did some tree work
Mhm.
and she was so nice about it and she ended up having Wix do her tree work at the same
Oh,
time. So there you
nice.
go.
Yeah, she's a doll.
Uh-huh. And so then,
But I think to this, I mean, I think that's great. I mean, I can't imagine that it wouldn't make more sense to stain it because the idea of, especially when it's sort of already weathered and who knows what damp and everything, like, I
painting
think,
that
I think
surface is gonna
that's-
be
Yeah.
is not a good thing.
I don't think it would be
I would
cost
even
effective.
leave it. I
We're
would
gonna do it
actually-
again and again and again.
Right. Okay, so,
So,
and so do you want to see the dark green stain color?
no.
I think, you know, this, I'm sure if they don't make this also in a stain, then there'll be something close enough.
Okay. And so do you like the idea of connecting the house to the fence?
I think it's nice.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be invisible. This is super invisible now, but it'll be invisible in a different way. Dark colors, I think, definitely.
Right. And then once all the leaves come out, it just becomes a.
Yeah. Part of the.
Okay, so are we ready to
Sure.
make a motion? Can you formulate the decision? Okay, so, I would,
Resolved, but, you know.
okay, I'd like to, so Rob is going to summarize the decision.
Yeah, so,
And then we'll
so
vote on it.
we're making a motion to approve, with some specifics and some principles,
Yeah.
the program for, number
Stable.
8 Stable Road, which will be, shutters of, Hunter Green, 2041 Benjamin Moore, and the entire house will be painted Benjamin Moore White Dove OC-17, except for certain architectural elements, e.g. the columns on the front portico, the third floor architectural detailing, the hay bale protuberance, and the garage doors, which will be some complementary, sufficiently distinctive, brighter white. Also the sort of fencing on, pending clarity on ownership, would be stained in a similar green to the Hunter Green as close as one can get.
And we're also approving,
And we're approving the semi-custom garage door
In the brighter white.
in the brighter white, and the door is being sourced from
Clopay.
oh, Clopay, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Front elevation design, SEM16. Just really handsome. And, and shutters to be determined according to Chairman Rinza's remarks and photographs shared with applicant, which will be a sort of a simple farmy sort of board and batten kind of country shuttering that the applicant will source.
and the lights,
And the
they were
lights.
lamps.
Oh,
Are they part of this, since you came all the way? Are
oh,
they?
they are custom-made lamps from my favorite company. And so I was gonna do 2 6-inches, that's the exact same dimensions. And my finish being they make all sorts of, I was thinking that you can make them wrought iron, but I was thinking that
Bronze or something.
a vintage brass, I don't think it's even in here, it's a slightly brighter brass, antique brass, as opposed to a black or gray. I thought it's kind of warm gold. You don't like them?
No, I'm not pulling a face. I'm thinking, I'm just trying
I think that
to
the
think
green
about
works
the
well.
house. I'm thinking green, I was thinking, trying to
I think it works well.
work it out.
I think the hesitation may be that this is
No, I
give,
wasn't hesitating. I
As
was
the-
just thinking.
You were
I was-
thinking,
I was just trying to visualize.
I
it
was saying,
together.
oh no, she doesn't
No,
like my
no,
light
no,
fixtures.
well, I like them a lot. I wonder if
like
they're 100% appropriate for this house, just because it's giving a lot of arts and crafts, but kind of California arts and crafts. And I'm wondering whether I can't really see what that is. And
It's a piece of garbage.
it's a piece of problem.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised. But it's interesting. I mean, I wonder, and this trope of the sort of California arts and crafts
Oh,
that they
I
got.
didn't never saw it that way.
Oh, yeah.
But that's okay.
I mean, I wonder if there are other
Mhm.
elements that are not giving kind of like dumbed down colonial, but also are not giving an extreme craftsman. I guess that's what I mean, not arts and crafts, but craftsman. And
And so do you have any, like, you've gotten a lot of applications. Are there any lighting companies that you particularly like for exterior lighting?
um,
We have gotten other names. I don't recall them right now. But there's been other companies.
the
who does
Guathmies
custom.
use, they have a lot of good, really.
Oh, Anne Guathmy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Could
yeah,
you
I know
ask-
Anne.
Could you check
Yeah,
with her what?
of course.
Whatever she sourced for that incredible, that's entirely new, that garage.
Right.
Which is really a success. I
Uh-huh,
think it was on
uh-huh.
a previous board.
Uh-huh,
We played
uh-huh,
it a lot,
uh-huh.
but I mean, it was really, and I wonder, hers are a little bit going into sort of an old English, but just the quality of it suggests, I'm sure that company has
Other things.
other things that might
Okay.
be. This is just it's interesting, and it's it's probably, it's not one of the original Bruce Price houses, is it? But it has
I
that
don't think
feeling
so.
of.
It was a carriage house. So literally in the garage is the drain where they used to wash the horses.
So great,
Now,
but that vintage.
I'm
that-
just slightly worried about the
Mm.
timing and
Yeah.
how do we resolve this to?
Could we could give a provisional, to be determined based on, the applicant, giving the board, 2 or 3 choices.
Yes.
That
Okay.
might
So
be.
we can
Can
do
I
that.
email them to
Yeah,
you?
sure.
Yes.
And you could approve it based on the email?
Sure. And
So
by
don't
the way,
have
I
to come
love,
Back to another
I
meeting.
love that,
But this
that
is-
finish.
Well, but this probably
this
is not gonna be, it may not be this company, but so you like the idea of like a bronzy, brassy,
Yeah.
antique thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just quiet and, solid, yeah.
Okay, so then,
So John, we would approve that from an image, but in a public session, right? So we
Yeah, if
would,
you can email me a couple samples you'd like
Yes.
the board to consider, and if the board is
And I have to
willing, we could approve it at the next meeting.
And I like these,
I
but
like
if,
them.
this, then not that. I think these two would not coexist. So this may be a good guide and pointing you in a direction that's,
well, except I think that the
so you
new
might
shutter-
change that yet too as well. I see.
Right,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think with the new shutter, I'm doing that,
Yes,
right?
even better.
I'm just leaving the shutters, but I kind of like the idea of the hinge to make it
Mhm.
look like it was put up
Mhm.
in an old fashioned way. So I think I'll leave it at the hinge.
okay,
Great,
Okay.
all right.
great.
So, are we,
I think this is a wonderful project. It's doing great things for the house.
I'm kind of a do-it-yourselfer, you know?
Yeah.
so I'd like to make a motion to approve the plan as outlined by Rob just now. And do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, and so
Thank you
I'll
so
ask
much.
Anne and you will be hearing from me very shortly.
I think some of that might have been right, Sarah. I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For our records, just keep this if it's okay. Do you need this, Sarah, or you have this somewhere?
Well,
Well, I have the number.
Chip. I gave you the chip right here.
Okay, that's fine.
That
That's
was
fine.
yours.
Yep.
And then I'll give you the hunter green chip
Sure.
right there.
Good.
And so we're done with that. And then I will drop by a white the next time I'm here, I will give you the white chip
Okay,
because chances are they're not going to be painting that white for my next visit.
good.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you so
thank you
much.
very
That was
much.
super
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate
So
your
much
help.
fun.
Well, it's great to meet you
Thank
finally.
you, yeah.
Sarah,
Sarah, yeah,
Rob.
Yeah.
Good to meet you.
okay.
Thank
Good
you.
luck getting back to
You
Charleston.
guys were awesome.
Thank you. Oh,
It
wow.
came out better than I did coming in.
Thank you.
It's nice to hear.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having me. This week, follow up for color.
How is your growing family?
It is, thank you for asking. It's wonderful. We're not sleeping much. We're having a lot of
In a good way.
In
I
a good
think,
way.
I think this is super easy.
Yeah,
So-
this is color and then, we're getting plans made for the deck. So that'll be next. That'll be a little bit longer, but I wanted to show, this is what she requested. We also had paint samples painted on two
Yes.
sides. This is the current color, two views.
Mhm.
This is the lighter color,
Mhm.
two views. This is the color that we think best suits. It
The
was the one in the
middle.
middle.
Yeah,
Is it
Yeah.
called Spice Gold or
Spice
something?
gold.
Wait, that was the one that seemed right.
Exactly.
me too. I agree with that. So I
Totally
think,
agree.
um,
And that's what we want to go with. Spice gold.
It's
is
so
the darkest.
clear, isn't it?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
so,
Spice it is.
Spice it is.
So,
Dune
I would
prophecy.
like to make a motion to approve Spice Gold for the exterior of 37 Fox Hill Road extension. Do I have a second?
Can I just stop here for a second?
Oh,
Do we need to specify anything about the counterpoint on the window or no? Or is that not changing? Is that the
Not
same?
changing.
Okay, good. Then second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you for
I
coming in.
appreciate
Sorry
it.
about the
I'll s-
process.
No, no, this is
Quickest
great.
application ever.
I appreciate it. And then I'll be back in, architect starting plans. While I'm here, you'd requested a sketch of what it would look like from the road and then detail of the
Under.
doors
Yeah, and under that.
and under.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Good.
So he'll be sharing, a sketch of exactly what the doors look like, and some more detail on the railing.
Here's a question for you. When I came to look at the house at one point, and there was a woman, because there were lots of people coming and going,
Yeah.
and I thought I recognized her, but I couldn't remember. But do you have a woman named Barbara who is Polish who comes and goes? Or
A woman named, we have a Polish nanny named Marta,
oh, Marta. Okay,
who comes back for, not
okay,
Barbara.
but she looks so similar to someone that used to.
Elizabeth Broderick is also someone who's helping with our project management. She's wonderful. So
Or maybe Barbara's a friend of your Marta.
could be. Could be. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks so
Have a
much.
wonderful evening.
All the best,
Appreciate
you
it.
too.
Thank you.
Thank
See you in a few weeks.
I would now like to proceed to the minutes. Do we have time to approve the minutes?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know if we're gonna have a meeting. We don't have a quorum.
Oh, sorry.
So can we proceed to the approval of the minute?
You're the chair. All I know is I spoke to Desiree late. No, everything is still live. The minutes, the changes that you suggested were received late today. Not everybody has seen
Okay, I'm
them.
sorry.
Maybe we should defer to the next
Okay,
meeting
let's
for the
defer.
minutes.
Yes, so we're deferring the
And,
minutes until the next
Right.
meeting.
And I don't know if it's worthy to rush the discussion about the fence or wait till the next meeting. Somebody had asked to put the
Um,
fence guidelines on.
So,
Deer fence, whatever.
yes, there was a
That-
criticism that it wasn't specific enough and that it was
Oh.
also rambling and it was correct. I agree with that. So Christopher is shortening it.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Was that my comment or someone else's? Okay.
No, you were just thinking it.
Okay.
You didn't speak it out loud.
Okay. You were looking at me. I thought, I'm not sure I used
No,
that
no,
word.
So we'll put that on the next agenda if it's
yes.
prepared.
So if there's no other business, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting today. Thank you. All in favor?
Isn't that Sarah lovely?
Yes, she's really nice.